Bam, 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 bam. I will be right back. How we doing? How we doing? Watch list time. This time for Wednesday tomorrow. MLGO continues to be wild. Nice to see daylight over there. Yeah. Usually it's dark by the time I'm hopping on here. So I'm happy to see daylight too. No lights needed on in the office here. Just natural light, so that's nice. MLGO continues on its tear. Ripped and round tripped. Let's see here. There we go. Week open. Fade, fade, fade. This happened a lot in like 2021, back when like AMC was running, and you'd get that walk down all pre-market with no headaches, and then you get that flush off the open. And that was actually the trap. They were creating this false sense of confidence for shorts. You get that flush, quick reclaim, and make some pay. Before getting the move that they wanted in the first place, like a multi-dollar per share fade, but just happens on a different time frame. I chose not to touch this one today. It was the hot name that everybody's watching, and I typically don't really trade that. Looking for sympathy trades off of it, stuff like Tenon, and try to take advantage of those. I had shorted some right before market open and a little pop towards this little trend line, and then was looking to scale under 420s. And so we got a little pop there towards it in pre-market. This thing was already up like 400% or something at this point, 300 and something. So it was worth a stab. I was sized versus like $6 risk, so it was nothing really crazy. We got a push, and it started to hold, so I covered, stopped out, and then we got this slam candle, so I shorted again, scaled, and then covered right here. Not really a sizable trade for me, as it is a day one gapper, but like I always go over on these, how I look at sympathy trades, how the timelines on them tend to shrink. So with MLGO, I figured everyone looking for the next one, so the timeline should shrink on this. Held up a lot better than I thought. Put out some offering news right here, midday, and you got some price action reaction off of it, but it didn't really fade it. So if this continues to hold 3 and starts to build back over key levels like 420, 460, I believe, were key levels from today. So if it starts to build back over those levels, and then with the offering news, it was a small offering, and this thing traded almost 300 million shares today. So definitely wasn't much. Let me see here. Tenon. See if I can find it. It was a $2 per share offering, 700,000 shares, and a 1.5 million share purchase agreement. So 700,000 share offering on a 300 million share day. Definitely not super meaningful. But if shorts just read offering and then get caught in there and then it never sees lower, it could trap them. Statistically speaking, with this still being up 260% here at close and it gapping up and closing below its open, odds favor a gap down and failed follow through day 2. So that's what I will look for. But I am just keeping in mind, staying cautious, that this offering news did come out. Shorts tend to hammer those moves. So if this isn't failing and breaking sub 3s and it's building over 420, 460, then I will be hands off. You had DATS running today as well. Semi-parabolic, but not super straight up. Bunch of overhead resistance. Day one and done runner. But not a ton of like daily structure there to play off of. I imagine 450 pops pull back, but it's not super extended. What else do we have today? GDHG, this one here, multi-day runner. I'm liking the looks of this, going from 1 to 4 right up into prior daily resistance, and nice speed up relative to prior price action. Hard crack, and then squeeze everybody out into close. So I think on any gap up, proper risk is off this 420. Off any flat open or gap down, would look for pops versus red to green, and some failed fall through. Possible first red day setup. XHLD continues to fade. IBO, this one is either holding up better than expected or setting up for a nice $3 breakdown trade. So if this starts to break for 450 and starts to build, then I think shorts are in a bind here. But what I'm looking for is this 3 to 310 level start to break down, flush under it, come back and retest, and then trickle off. And this thing's got a nice volume pocket lower. If you look at the daily here, I can see the daily on my other screen, but if it breaks here, you got a nice pocket there down to like $2. So I will be looking for that $3 breakdown. VPR, nothing, just percent gainers. Had that news yesterday, and kind of a nothing burger today. Holo, I took that swing off right at market open. Was long here at like 104. And we didn't get that gap up follow through with MLGO. Even when it squeezed, all that Holo could do was go from 90s, went up like 10 cents. So that's when it should have gone. So no reason to stick around when an idea is not working. NAK, I traded this for a first red day today. Was looking for a bit bigger of a gap up. We were gapping into the 120s. And looking left, you can see it topped out towards these bounce highs. I shorted it once it went red versus high day risk. Scaled through that 110 breakdown, looking left. And on the new low a day, right through here, got soaked up. So I covered it and moved on. Not forcing a bias. Went over those ones. CRVO, nice day 2 follow through. Pretty much exactly what I had mentioned yesterday. Same setup as DWTX with the same group pushing it. So once you get that hard fail and closes, the trend starts to shift, the characteristics of these daily bars, and then that favors a gap down follow through a move. So we had a nice quiet fader for about $1 a share. And now that we've had a couple faders on the backside, high day has been set at 931 both days. So now I think possible backside bounce. If I can get a sizable gap down and like an exhaustion gap to the downside towards these prior resistance, possibly becoming support levels, maybe something sub 8, like a sub 8 gap down, and then look for opening range highs to be set off the open, and then a re-break of those levels, and possible retest before fading off. I think this ends up back where it came from, but stocks don't go straight up, straight down. They push, pull, consolidate, and choose their next direction. So I'm just taking advantage of this move, this elastic move, and then possible a little rally trade before fading off. So I will look for that. IMTE, I've had a bunch of liquidity trap setups on Watchlist the last few days, and none of them have played out. The key on them is not just buying names that have that strong volume day, volume dries up, and you're not just buying them day 3. That's too predictive. So I set price alerts, I draw levels on this name in particular. I like that whole $2 level. And if it starts to break through 2, come back, act as support, and then build and start to curl off of that, then liquidity trap is game on. But I'm not just coming into the open, this thing's opening 170, 180, and I'm like, this has got to go up. That's not really what I'm interested in. But if you look at this from the perspective of short sellers that are shorting gappers, so you get this big flush right through here, exact same thing that MLGO did, right through here, breaks down, takes out all the longs, shorts come in for a breakdown trade, gap up, and trap. So IMTE, fail, takes out all the longs, and then we get that gap up. So now people are in a bind here on this day, but they're still in it. You got that gap up, little fail fall through, sideways chopping, and then squeezes everybody out. So this is where most shorts are is in these 130s. And now the entire afternoon on day 1 and then the entire day on day 2 is still holding over those 130s. So if 130s start to fail, then shorts are no longer in trouble. Longs are underwater that are buying this up here. But if this continues to hold this upper channel and then breaks out through 2, not only do you have multi-day breakout momentum buyers, but you've got 2 days worth of shorts that are underwater and in trouble. So when you get this gapper and starts to consolidate and hold key prior levels, once it confirms those highs, then game on. So I will be looking at that one for a liquidity trap. GDHD we did. And then AVGO, last one on watch. Ariel over in IU had mentioned this one in the room today. So if you, let me just zoom out to give you a big picture. You have this breakout, big volume, little pocket pivot, episodic pivot, whatever you want to call it. Breaks out through this 180s. Nice consolidation. Looks like it wants to hold. Gap down. Complete failed fall through. And now if we zoom in here, you've got this weakness. Chopping around. Bear flag. Lower highs on a flat bottom break. So that bottom is, I think it's 187. Yeah, 187. So if we zoom in here, it's a lot clearer on this. You can see these lower highs, flat bottom 187. So looking for that 187 to break down. I believe this is a semiconductor name. Let me just check. I don't really trade large caps, so don't keep a complete pulse on it. Yeah, semiconductor. Just making sure. So you've got other names, but this one is showing relative weakness in the sector. You've got NVIDIA that's pulled back and held. You've got ARM. You've got TSM. They're all near the lower end, but they've been following this SPY move. SPY's bouncing, and these semiconductors aren't following. So the AVGO is definitely the weakest of the bunch, and I think if that 187 gets taken out, I think it could get hit. Justin, good to see ya. Family man, what's going on? How you doing? Can't complain, sir. Hope you're doing well. Tina, how's it going? But yeah, so that's my I had one more trade today. I took a loss on TNXP. It was a multi-day runner. Wasn't really on my watch until I was scanning today. It hit the little gapper scan, and it was gapping up into prior resistance. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of a little multi-day move. So it went from like 16 to 38, and then was gapping into prior resistance. So I had shorted it, stopped out through a VWAP red to green reclaim, reshorted it once it's stuffed, was risking highs. And this pull here is that should have died moment when you get this breakdown. that is the move that should come back and stay heavy, and it just didn't. So I covered the next pull, and that was it for that one. Not too exciting. Come on. There we go. So yeah, that's all I've got on watch for tomorrow. I will wrap it up there. I will upload it to YouTube for anyone who needs to watch it later. Those of you tuning in live, thanks for stopping by. I will see some of you in Investors Underground, and the rest of you, I will see you on the next watch list. Take it easy. Peace.